Welcome to day 2 of the Cast on Crit Forbidden Rite, Chaos Inoculation, Occultist, yada yada yada. It's a lot of words. If you saw the video yesterday, and I do recommend watching that video yesterday, it's a short one. It'll catch you up to speed on what we did. Too long didn't watch. I spent 20x, and I didn't watch a build guide or anything, so there are definitely some missteps, but that's what I like to do. I like to open up PoE Ninja and just think about things, maybe talk to some people, start to put together a build myself. And, maybe there can be some missteps. I definitely did not get as far yesterday on 20x as I could have, but that is the messy process that I like to do to make sure that I'm really getting in the thick of things and learning, making those mistakes so I can learn from them. What we did since yesterday is I spent another 20 exalts roughly, and this is where the build is. We crafted / purchased. It's a little complicated, but we did end up with double elevated tailwind and cooldown recovery rate boots. These are really, really nice. Ideally, I do want the mana cost enchant on these because mana is still a little uncomfortable right now, but these boots made a really, really big difference. That combined with a leveled up Awakened Cast on Crit is now putting me over that 52% cooldown recovery rate breakpoint for Cast on Crit builds. We are over 52% CDR, which means we can attack up to 10.1 times a second and trigger that many times a second, which is where a lot of our damage comes from. Also, thank you to everyone in the comments that had suggestions yesterday. I do appreciate that. The Ball Lightning with cast on damage taken support is really, really nice. We do have a Watcher's Eye that says energy shield gain for each enemy hit, and that with Ball Lightning here makes a really, really big difference. Ball Lightning hits a ton. We get a lot of ES we can sustain through packs, which is really, really nice. Then I have a Divergent Purifying Flame. This doesn't do very much right now. It does give us Consecrated Ground, and it does apply increased damage taken to enemies. With an Ashes of the Stars later on, this will go up to 12% increased damage taken, which will be really nice. But right now, 5% and just having the Consecrated Ground, it's just good to have. And then we have Culling Strike, which linked with the Ball Lightning especially. We're getting some additional calls there, just a little bit of quality of life. I could put in Onslaught or something there too. That's one of those things where you can just kind of mix and match, come up with what you want. And then the other change here, a Skin of the Lords with Call to Arms. I bought this for 3.5 exalts this morning. The key here is plus 100% global defenses. This is what makes a big difference. If you saw the video yesterday, my character died very, very easily. But with our max block and Skin of the Lords, you'll see that we go from 15k to 27k armor with my Flask up, which makes a very big difference, both with our Molten Shell and just the Aegis Aurora replenishing a ton of ES on block, which allows us to, as long as we don't get one shot and we block, we can sustain through a lot of stuff. Now, this does bring me down to 4,900 ES, but that is actually worth it. I feel way, way tankier. And then with the +2 level of socketed gems, we do have to corrupt all of our gems. With the Skin of the Lords, every gem socketed does have to be corrupted. Corrupting this one was a little scary this morning. Luckily, it did not brick. This means that all of our gems get +2 level, which just a lot more damage, a lot more quality of life here. That's why we have a level 10 Awakened Cast on Crit, which means that we don't even actually need any more CDR at all. Just the boots and the Awakened Cast on Crit put us over that 52% breakpoint, which is really nice. And then Call to Arms, it's nice to have. Lets me put Enduring Cry on my left click. But you just have to make sure you don't take anything that bricks your build. But there, if you search for a Skin of Lords on the trade site, you'll see a ton of them that will brick your build. Everything from the Agnostic to Blood Magic, anything like that. Ghost Stance, since we aren't evasion based, would brick our build. Precise Technique can't crit. Resolute Technique can't crit. Look out for all of those. They will all brick the build. Just look for something. So I spent 3x. There's a bunch at 1x that, would brick the build. Look for something that's just either does not break the build or is just really nice to have. And Call to Arms is really good. Nothing else in this build has changed. Boots, body armor, and the gems here. And that's it. This is the same build as yesterday that did cost 20 exalts. But hopefully this should be a pretty stark contrast if you remember the video yesterday. Now, hopefully I don't die. Sometimes still something can sneak through our block. And since we have low ES, we can take a big hit and die. But as long as nothing really big one-shots us, we can actually tank quite a bit. I'm actually not going to take the shrines here, so we make sure that it's a realistic demonstration of what's going on. As you can see, I can just kind of go through the middle of the pack, block a lot of stuff. Let's gather up a bunch of monsters, hit my Sentinel here, go right through the middle, hit my Vol Molten Shell, and just kind of cruise. Now, the damage is a little lower than I would like, Ideally, you know, we want to get to the 10 million plus DPS range. I think I'm roughly in the 3 to 4 million right now, which isn't bad, right? That's enough where I could probably do Cirrus and Maven with a little bit of you know, a little bit of struggle bus on the damage. But as long as I don't get one shot, you know, you can see the damage, you know, against some of these things, not the best, but you know, as long as I don't get one shot, we can just face tank absolutely everything because we have really good armor. We have Molten Shell. We're replenishing ES through any like really big small hits. Lots of small hits coming through can be really, really nice for just sustaining a build. So let's just gather up a bunch of dudes here. I'm gonna hit all the Sentinels. We're gonna just juice it up as much as possible. Flask, Ball Molten Shell, go right through the middle. And yeah, lots of loot. Feels good. This feels night and day from yesterday, right? Like absolutely night and day. This is where the build is just, you know, it's not the fastest zoomy build at all. You know, later on I could really focus on a little bit more movement speed, stuff like that. But it feels good, man. I do have to say this feels really, really crispy. Later on we could go for, you know, get that Profane Bloom through Forbidden Flame, Forbidden Flesh Jewels. I did have to drop that. This is a build that is very, I guess that is a little change here, is I did swap out into Malediction from Profane Bloom. Love Profane Bloom. If you're just mapping, I do think that this is actually probably what I would do and take the Whispers of Doom. But Malediction, enemies take more damage, they deal reduced damage, and our curses are stronger as well. I think Malediction is just going to be better for overall quality of life. But if you're going to be mapping really hard, I'd probably just use Profane Bloom. It's going to one-shot pop the entire screen. Just swap a couple passes into Whispers of Doom, and you'll be good to go there. So I think that's a customization that you can do personally. I think they're both totally valid. I've had people tell me, like, no, Malediction is the only way. But it really makes a big difference to clear with Profane Bloom. So yeah, let's do the map boss here. You can see what the single target damage looks like right now. You can see it's not exceptional, but it's not bad, right? It's not bad. I think that's an acceptable amount of damage at well, for 40 exalts, right? Yeah, you might think that's really bad, but you know, it will get much higher later. I am confident of that. I'm not worried. So yeah, 40x. I know it's a lot, and it's still going to take like another 40x before everything feels really good and put together. But it's at the point now where I'm happy and I don't feel like I can't play the game. You know, the build yesterday, yeah, that's always that icky feeling, right? When you have your one main build and you make that choice to respec it instead of, you know, leveling up a new character, and you sold all your old gear and you just don't have a working character and you're like, oh, I can't even play the game. Luckily, I had enough currency to get the build to a place where now I can play the game and start to farm some currency and get to a good place. The real big next steps here are craft up really good resistances on my gear across the board, craft this up a little bit, and then we have to bite the bullet. Craft attacks cannot be evaded, which is a 3 exalt craft. That's why I've been holding off, which will allow us to drop precision and all of the other accuracy stuff that we have right now, swap in Purity of Ice, and then we will have 85 all res, which will be really, really good. Then fire, lightning, and cold will just not be remotely as scary as they are right now. That is the plan for what we're going to do on stream today in just a couple hours. Not much more to say for what it is right now. If you are interested in this build, I just want to show what this looks like through my missteps. You can utilize your currency better than I have and maybe make it go a little bit further to put the build together how you want. This will give you an idea of what the build looks like when it's not perfect, not as a final build guide. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you joined me on the stream today, and I got to keep getting some upgrades here. See you soon. Bye.